Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Ketubot Daf Kuf Amud Aleph, 181. We're just going to start though on Tzadik Tet Amud Bet on the bottom, 99b, towards the bottom where it's the Mishnah. The Mishnah says Shum HaDayanim. Shum HaDayanim is basically where the Dayanim are coming and they're evaluating a property, right? Which they come and they evaluate. How much is it worth? Shepichatu Shtut, that they sold it less than a sixth of the real value of the property. Or they added a sixth of the property. Michram batel, it's going to be batel. That means basically here the Dayanim came, they evaluated the property, they sold it. If it was more than a sixth or less than a sixth, it's going to be batel. It's going to be a null transaction. Rashba Gomer says, Michran kayam, whatever they sold, and can if so, he says, 1 second. Even though the bedin made a mistake, it has to be a good sale, a good transaction. Why? Because if not, then what's the purpose of a bedin? If they're going to come, they're going to sell something, and afterwards you're going to say, no, it's annulled. So it doesn't make sense. But if they went and they started making you get a bikoret, which means that they come and they started making, like they started selling it to somebody that's going to pay the most amount, like an auction type of a thing. Even if they sold it for 100 to 200, or then it is going to be good sale according to everybody, which means that if they did an auction is different than selling it as a sale price. Buy now price is not the same as an auction. An auction is always something different. So says the Gemara, we have a question. Shaliach, right? What happens if the shliach comes and he sold properties and he made a mistake in the field, in the price of the field? Kiman, who's that go like? Is it like an almana that michra batel, even if it was a mistake? Even if it was a mistake of like 101 to 100, if you remember, that's what we learned yesterday. Or does it have to be like a bedin, which is going to be the sixth? That's the question. So Kufa Amud Aleph, 100A1, Daf Kufa Amud Aleph. Rava says in the name of Nachman, Shaliach is like the Dayanim, which means that you have until a sixth. And Rav Shmuel verse Bisna Amar of Nachman says of Shmuel Bar Bisna in the name of Nachman, Ki Almana. No, the Shliach is like an Almana, that even if it's mamash like a small amount of a mistake, basically what's the marginal error where you have, right, the margin of error that a Shliach has? Is like an almana, which is basically like nothing, or is it like a bedin, which you have a sixth, which is a lot? Yeah, that's I think 12 or 13%. It's a big amount. So Rava Rav Nachman says, name of Nachman, Shaliach is like the Dayanim, just like the Dayanim, they're not selling it for themselves. So to the Shliach also, he's not selling it for himself. Now, why is it by almana it's more strict? Because the almana is for her. Meaning at the end of the day, she's selling it for a ketubah or for a mizunot, for something, but it's for her. So there's a big difference between almana and the shliach or the dayanim. Rav Shmuel Bar Bisna Amar Rav Nachman says Shmuel Bar Bisna name Nachman, ki almana like an almana. Ma almana yechida, just like the almana is by herself, to shliach is yechid. La puke bedin, there's not like a bedin. The Rabbi knew a bedin is a multitude of people. Meaning the shaliach should be compared to the almana, because just like the almana is one person selling the property, shaliach is one person selling the property. Don't compare that to the bedin. The bedin is a lot of people that are selling the property. The hilchata, what is alachado? Shaliach is like the almana. That means the marginal error is hardly anything, basically. It's nothing. Any type of mistake, boom. We're asked the Gemara, what's the difference between that which we learned in the Mishnah? If somebody comes and he tells the shaliach, utrom, go and take off trumot from my fruits. He's going to do exactly like the way that the balabait would do it. What does that mean? If he does it in a big eye, like with a good eye or with a bad eye, if he doesn't know what the balabait does, torem bebenonit, he does the normal. You take 1/50th, right? If he did 1/40th, or he added a tenth, which means 1/60th, truma, it's going to be good. Which means that it comes out that even if afterwards it came out that the balabait used to do not the normal, which is 1/50th. He used to do either 1/40th or 1/60th, either better or worse. Right? It comes out that the shliach is okay, even though he made a mistake. So why by us do we say that even the marginal error of a shliach is so small, it's going to be batel? Here you're seeing that the marginal error of a shliach, you still have, it's another 10. It's either 10 up or 10 down. Remember, we're talking about either the 1/50th to 1/40th or 1/50th to 1/60th. 1/50th is normal. Right? So says the Gemara, since there's some people that do bayin ra'ava, bayin yafa, Elmaleh, he comes and he says, this is what I thought, because you probably did. But here, it's a complete mistake. Elmaleh, he could have told them, meaning like this, everybody has to take off trumot. So since everybody has to take off trumot, I don't know how do you take off, it's like maaser. Everybody takes maaser. The question is how much? Do you take 10%, 20%, 15%, in between 10 and 20? Some people don't do it at all, but I'm saying, but usually everyone does ma'aser. The only question is how much? By Nyafa, by Benonit is 10%. Right? So now if you're going to give 20 instead of 10, okay, fine, or 10 and 10, okay, Chazak Baruch. Here has nothing to do with that you have to do it. This is something that you were going to sell a field, and all of a sudden, if you made this error, I could say, well, you shouldn't have made such a mistake. So Amar Ravuna Barachinyan Amar Nachman says, Nachman, halacha like the Tanakama, that if the Dayanim made a mistake, yeah, it's batel. Meaning it's not like Rashbag that he said that it's going to be that, Makoach Batin Yafeh, what's the power of Batin? If they made a mistake, you're going to annul it. No, it's Be'emet, the psak is like Tanakama, that it's annulled. That means even though the Batin made a mistake, we annul the transaction. So says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Makoach Batin Yafeh. Says 1 second. Rav Nachman was a Dayan. He doesn't hold this concept of that Makoach Batin Yafeh. What's the koach of Batin good if it's going to happen like this? Rav Nachman Mishmuan says Rav Nachman named Mishmuan. Yetomim sheba'u lachlok b'nichsavian. When you have Yetomim, small Yetomim that they came and they wanted to divide in the properties of their fathers, Bedin ma'amidin lahem apotropos. The Bedin are going to come and they're going to be ma'amid an apotropos. They're going to come and separate a good portion. Once they get older, they could come and they could be muche. They could actually, they could, how do you call this? They could reject. Rav Nachman Didei Aman, Rav Nachman himself says, no, the second that they got older, they cannot reject. So you see from here that Rav Nachman does hold of the concept of Makoach Bedin Yafeh. Makoach Bedin Yafeh means, what is the strength of Bedin if you could just annul the words of a Bedin? Meaning that they have to have a certain power that no matter what, their words stand. Even if there was a mistake, even if there's something. So the same thing here. And here you see that Rav Nachman himself holds of Makoach Bedin Yafeh. So answers the Gemara like a question. Had ta'u, had lo ta'u. The case of the Mishnah is talking about where the Bedin, they made a mistake. And therefore, since the Bedin made the mistake in the valuation, it's annulled. However, the case of Nachman himself was talking about where you're dividing properties between Yitomim. There, right, they didn't make a mistake, right? The person were the ones that were it. So it wasn't the Bedin themselves that did it. So therefore, so says the Gemara, if they didn't make a mistake, so what are you going to be moched? What are they going to rebuke? What are they going to, if nobody made a mistake, so what are they coming and saying? So says the Gemara, beruchot. No, they're not saying there was a mistake in the valuation. They're saying there was a mistake in where did you give it to us? I want it in the east, you want it in the north, I want it in the south, you want it in the west, I wanted it. That's where the mistake came from. Okay? Fine. Kiata Rav Dimi, when Rav Dimi came from it, said to Bavel, he said, Maaseh v'asar Rabbi kidvrei Chachamim. There was a story that they did like Chachamim. Amar lefanav Prata, beno shel Rabbi Elazar ben Prata, beno shel Prata Gadol. So says Prata, the son of Rabbi Elazar ben Prata, the great grandson of Rabbi Prata Gadol. There's a proof like the Moroccan, no? You're in your name after the grandfather to the grandfather, you just continue going up. If so, Makoach Bedin Yafeh, right? Rabbi came and he retracted it. So you see from here, right, that we're going like Rashbag and not like Chachamim. You understood? That means again, remember, Rashbag says in the Mishnah Makoach Bedin Yafeh, which means that even if the Bedin made a mistake, it's a good sale. And according to Tarakama, you annul it. Michra Batel. So Rav Dimi Matniacha, Rav Dimi, he taught it like this. And Rav Safra Matniacha, he wanted to do like the Chachamim. So Amaleh Farav Prata Benosham Zav Prata Benosham Lo Asar Rabbi Tmases. So Rabbi did not do it, but rather he agreed to Rashbag that it's going to be okay. So says the Gemara, why don't we just say that the Machlok between them is more Savar Ta'abid Var Mishnah Chozer, or more Savar and Chozer, which means like this. Why don't we just say that the Machlok between them is if a person made a mistake with a Mifurash, something which is a Mishnah, and he made a mistake, does it retract or not? For example, right? This, by the way, also happens to do with the rabbis, right? If a rabbi comes and he gives you a psak, yeah, I cannot go against a psak. So it actually once happened. Somebody went to an Ashkenazi rabbi. He asked him halacha to do with chatzitza. And the rabbi went and he said, sorry, that's it. So for 2 months, right, she couldn't do anything. Why? Chatzitza, that's it. Then he came to me. I went and I said, there's a Rav Ovadia. Rav Ovadia would have permitted in a certain case, but you already asked another rabbi. So therefore, if it was going to be something which is Ta'abid Var Mishnah, which means that the mistake would have been Mifurash, let's say Maran and the Ramah. You understand? Meaning like, Sfaradim and Ashkenazim, right? Maran, Ramah, or something like that. So then I could have overruled it. I could have said, listen, he passed him to you according to the Ramah. We go according to Maran. There's nothing what to talk about. So therefore, I could overrule it. But if it's not mefurash Maran Brahma, and it's something later on in the Acharonim that maybe I hold like this one, and I wanted to put 20 things together, and that, like for example, this case, so then I cannot overrule it. So I asked my Rav in Eretz Yisrael. He said no. The second that he asked the Rav at Ashkenazi, and this is the psak that he got, Kaddish. That's it. So the person had to wait 2.5 months. I had to do with the cast or this or that to do with what's it called. Therefore, same thing, the same halakha would apply here to do with, do we say if this person made a mistake in Dvar Mishnah, do you retract or not? So says the Gemara, no. According to everybody, if a person made a mistake with Dvar Mishnah, he's chozer, he has to retract. More so more holds this was the case. And basically there was a machloket. What exactly was the story? Like which way around was the story? Was it that he already passed like Rashbag and then they wanted to retract him? Or he passed like Chachamim and then they wanted to retract like Rashbag? That was a machloket. What exactly was the story? Amar Rav Yosef, says of Yosef, Armelata de Zabina, Achrayut Ayatmi. When an almanah comes and she sells a property, right, with Achrayut, with guarantee, the Achrayut goes to the Yitomim. Betin de Zabin, Achrayut Ayatmi. And the Betin that they come and they sell a field, they're going to have the Achrayut, right, is going to be on the Yitomim. So it says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. So it says the Gemara, Almanah lo yitzich aleh. Almanah, to do the almanah, we didn't need our psak. When is the psak? For a betin. Because for a betin, I would have thought to say that what? Dafkufa mubet, 100b, right? Called the zavi mi bedina, daitan mepak lekala ud zavi. That anybody that's going to purchase a property from bedin, each person purchasing that there should be a call, that there should be something there. Kamashmanan comes teach you, Rav Yosef, that also a field that's going to be sold through a bedin, the achrayut is going to be on the yitomim for the reason that we just mentioned above. 2 dots. Rashbag just said that according to that, even if a bedin made a mistake, it's going to be a good sale. That come until when is the mistake? Ad palga, until half of the price. Meaning, even if it's going to be until half of the price, it's going to be a good sale according to Rashbag. Because even Rashbag will agree that if they completely went wrong, that more than 50%, that's something completely different, right? But I'm saying until 50%, it's going to be good. Even if it's going to be 100 for 200 or 200 for 100, it's still going to be a good sale. So Amar Mishmei Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef, Betin shemachru belo achraza, the Betin came and they sold without mentioning anything. It's like they made a mistake in the Mishnah. They're chozin and they have to retract. Says the Gemara, Naasu, it's like they made a mistake. But I tell for sure they made a mistake. The Tanam, as we learned in the Mishnah, Shuma Yitomim, Shloshim Yom, you have to wait 30 days for the Yitomim. Meaning, if you have an evaluation process of the field of Yitomim, they wait 30 days to evaluate. And Shuma Ekdesh is going to be 60 days, even double. Every single morning and night time, they're going to start mentioning it, which means that they have to start mentioning because they want to get the best price, obviously, for the Yitomim. So says Gemara, no, if it was only for that Mishnah, I would have thought to say, one of these words by a Shaliach. But to do the Bedin, I would say they don't need Achraza at all. Right, because they have such a strong strength. Kamashmanan comes teach you, like what we just mentioned. So 8 Ravashi Lamiman, Ravashi comes and he asks Lamiman, Shuma Dayanin Shiputut or Shtut. When you have a Shuma Dayanin that they came and they made it less than a 6 or more than a 6, Nichram Batel, it's going to be Batel. Hashave Beshave, but if it's going to be exactly equal, Nichram Kayam, it's going to be good. My love, we're not talking about the law of rules that there was no mentioning, meaning they didn't come and start publicizing and started saying all these things. And so the Gemara, no, B'dachluz, they did mention it. So Hamid is Seifa Midachluz. Once again, if in the Seifa we're talking about that they did come and they did publicize it, Havi Reisha, so it's Mashma the Reisha was without publicizing it. Tiktani Seifa, but it says in the Seifa, Imasu Igera Bikoret, if they came and they sold, right, the property through somebody, Afilu Machru Shavem Manem Matayim Shavem Matayim Mane, even if it was for 200, for 100, 100, 200, Michran Kayam, it's going to be a good sale. Ela Leolam Belo Lachruz really be'emet, we're talking about that they didn't sell it, but they didn't publicize it. Velakasha, it's not a question. Here are things which they do publicize. And here are things that they don't publicize it. Documents, slaves, and movable objects, they don't publicize. Meaning you're only going to publicize for a field, for properties, houses, things like that, but not for all these things. Avadim, what's the reasoning for Avadim? Because then maybe they're going, the slave will hear that you're trying to sell him, and he's going to run away. He's good with the same boss. He doesn't want a new boss. So what's going to happen? the new master. So he's going to run away. He's hearing, they're selling him. They're going to run away. So you don't mention it. Number two, metaltalin shtarot. Why? Shema yiganvu. Because since a lot of people are going to come to start checking out the movable objects or the documents, what's going to happen is they're going to steal it. Imagine everybody comes, they start looking. What happens? Boom, boom, boom. They put things in their pocket. They walk out. You lost the document. You lost the movable object, whatever it is. Or if you want, you can answer another answer. It all depends during the time of the mentioning it or the time of not mentioning it. It says Narada, lekarga, to paying taxes on the yitomim, lemezone, or for mezonot of the widow or the boys or the girls, velikfura, or for the burying of the father. We sell things even without hachraza, meaning we don't publicize. We come, we sell it right away. Why? Because we need it. We don't, we don't waste time. If you can answer a third answer. It all depends on the minhag of the place. Some places they do sell, and some places they don't sell. You get to be caught in Narda. They never sold a property through publicizing it. They never did it. So they thought maybe they were experts in evaluations. Because they were called people that they were mevazim the konim. They were embarrassing, they were disgracing the people that were buying like that. So because of that, they never did it like that. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel, metaltalin shel yitomim. We're talking about metaltalin of yitomim. Shamin otam lachrizon otam mochlin otam laltar. We evaluate it and we sell it immediately. We sell it to the marketplace. It all depends whether it's the place of the shuk is very far away or very close. Meaning it all depends on the circumstances. How close or far away are they from the shuk? Do we actually sell it in the shuk or we don't sell it, right? In the shuk. Basically, will we wait until the day of the shuk was maybe there we could get a better price or not? Rav Kahana, so he had shechar, beer. He waited until the regel. Amari said, even though it could be that maybe it's gonna become a little bit worse, it's gonna still be better money. Meaning why? Because they come in the regel, they're gonna pay more money. So so he had wine of Ravina Zute. He was a yatom. He was his nephew. He also had a wine. He used to come and used to get sichra in order to sell it. Can I wait or not? He says, go and take it. Right? That means if you want, you could take it. It's not better than yours. Meaning, just like you would do in your wine, you could do with their wine. Meaning, not because they're yatomim, you have to act on theirs better than yours. Whatever you would do for your wine, you could do with their wine. And that's the way the halacha went to do with how you're supposed to act in such a case. Okay. Says a Mishnah. The Mishnah on the bottom of Kufa Mubet. Hamema'enet. A woman that she's, again, remember, she's a Ketana, got married by the brother or the mother, and now she's Mema'enet Bebala, Hashniya or Shniya La'arayot, right? We already spoke about this. That means she's a second degree closeness to the husband. Bailonit or Nailonit, and like ketubah, they do not get a ketubah, which means if they get divorced from their husbands, they don't get a ketubah. Velo perot, they don't get perot. Velo mezonot, no mezonot. Velo blaot, they don't get the leftovers of their clothing as well. That means basically if they had clothing already when they were married, they don't get those clothing as well. But if he got her married and he already knew she was an Nailonit, yesh la ketubah, she does get a ketubah. Almana lekohen gadol v'kedusha v'chalutza kohen yom mzel v'nitina l'isha v'tzitzal v'nitina l'mazed, yesh la ketubah. When you have an almana married to a kohen gadol, or a kedusha v'chalutza married to a regular kohen, or mamzer nitina to Yisrael, or bat Yisrael to nitina mamzer. All these cases, there is a ketubah. Yesh lahem ketubah. Says the Gemara, Rav taught, ketana yotza beget, ketana, she goes out with a get. Ve'en la ketubah, she does not get a ketubah. Why? Because since there was no real marriage there, because it was a marriage only with the Rabbanan, because of the mother or the brothers, so therefore there's no ketubah. The klochke mema'enet, and all the more so, if she goes, she's mema'enet and she doesn't get out with a get. Shmuel taught the no, mema'enet, she doesn't get a ketubah, but yotza beget, she does have a ketubah. Meaning, if it wasn't her fault, and the husband's divorcing her, she does get a ketubah according to Shmuel. According to Rav, no, right? But according to everybody, mema'enet does not get a ketubah. Well, she's the one that's going out. She's the one that wants to leave. That's the Shmuel the Taman. Shmuel goes according to his reasoning. The Shmuel says, "Hamema'enet en la ketubah, hayotza beget yesh la ketubah." Mema'enet doesn't get a ketubah. If she goes over the get, she does get a ketubah. Mema'enet lo pasla min ha'achim. Mema'enet is not going to be poselet b'tzlav min ha'achim. Lo pasla min ha'kiuna. Yotza beget. She's going to go out with the get. So then she's going to be pasul from the brothers because of eshetach. That means she becomes prohibited because now she's a brother-in-law. So that means she cannot get married to any of the other brothers now. Salamina kiuna also makes her pasul from the kiuna because she got divorced. Yeah, that means even though it's Rabbanan, the second that she got a get, that's it. She's pasul to the kiuna. Mema'enet, she does not need to wait 3 months, right, before the nisuin chadashim, right, because she's mema'enet. Okay, so she doesn't need to wait. But if she comes up with a get, she does have to wait three months. Basically, if she comes up with a get, we don't want to make a differentiation between a woman that gets a get and another woman that gets a get. Because even though she's still a minor and therefore she cannot become pregnant anyway, we're not going to say, anyway, she can't become pregnant, she doesn't have to wait 3 months. No. Wait 3 months. She had a get. But for Mimayenet, does not need, and will continue with Zrat Hashem